जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जयो गिरिवरधारी जयो गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन वो फानी लगा वो इतना आवाज नहीं करता यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जयो गिरिवरधारी जयो गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा कृष्ण चंद्र राधा कृष्ण चंद्र राधे जयो निताय गौरंगा निताय गौरंगा निताय गौरंगा जयो निताय गौरंगा जयो जयो प्रभुपाद 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 जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरण भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, text number 26. तद्विश्वगुरु अधिकृतं भुवनैकवन्द्यं दिव्यं विचित्रविबुधागार्यभिमानशोचिः आपुः परां मुदम् अपूर्वमुपेत्य योगा मायाबलेन मुनयस्तदतो विकुण्ठम्. तद्विश्वगुरु अधिकृतं भुवनैकवन्द्यं दिव्यं विचित्रविबुद्गार्यभिमानशोचिः आपुः परां मुदम् अपूर्वमुपेत्य योगा मायाबलेन मुनयस्तदतो विकुण्ठम्. तद्विश्वगुरुवधिकृतं भुवनैकवन्द्यं दिव्यं विचित्रविबुधाग्र्यभिमानशोचिः आपुः परां मुदम् अपूर्वमुपेत्य योगा मायाबलेन मुनयस्तदतो विकुण्ठम्. What meaning? Tat then Vishwaguru, by the teacher of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adhikritam, predominated, Bhuvana, of the planets, Eka, alone, Vandyam, worthy to be worshipped, Divyam, spiritual, Vichitra, highly decorated, Vibhuddhagriya, of the devotees who are the best of the learned, Vimana, of the airplanes, Shochihi, illuminated, Apuhu, attained, Param, the highest, Mudam, happiness, Apurvam, unprecedented, Upetya, having attained, Yogamaya, by spiritual potency, Balena, by the influence, Munayaha, the sages, Tat, Vaikunta, Ato, that, Vikuntam, Vishnu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Thus the great sages Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana and Sanat Kumara, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please repeat the translation. Thus the great sages Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana and Sanat Kumara, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second. He is above everyone. No one is equal to Him, nor is anyone greater than Him. Therefore, He is described here as Vishwaguru. He is the prime living entity of the entire material and spiritual creation and is Bhuvanaika Vadyam, Bhuvanaika Vandyam, the only worshipable personality in the three worlds. The airplanes in the spiritual sky are self-illuminated and are piloted by great devotees of the Lord. In other words, in the Vaikuntha planets, there is no scarcity of things which are available in the material world. They are available, but they are more valuable because they are spiritual and therefore eternal and blissful. The sages felt an unprecedented happiness because Vaikuntha was not predominated by an ordinary man. The Vaikuntha planets are predominated by expansions of Krishna who are differently named as Madhusudana, Madhava, Narayana, Pradyumna, etc. These transcendental planets are worshipable because the personality of Godhead personally rules them. It is said here that the sages reach the transcendental spiritual sky by dint of their mystic power. That is the perfection of the yoga system. The breathing exercises and disciplines to keep health in proper order are not the ultimate goals of yoga perfection. The yoga system, as generally understood, is Ashtanga Yoga or Siddhi, eightfold perfection in yoga. By dint of perfection in yoga, one can become lighter than the lightest and heavier than the heaviest. One can go wherever he likes and can achieve opulences as he likes. There are 8 such perfections. The rishis, the 4 Kumaras, reached Vaikuntha by becoming lighter than the lightest and thus passing over the space of the material world. Modern mechanical space vehicles are unsuccessful because they cannot go to the highest region of this material creation and they certainly cannot enter the spiritual sky. But by perfection of the yoga system, one not only can travel through material space but can surpass material space and enter the spiritual sky. We learn this fact also from an incident concerning Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarisha. It is understood that in 1 year Durvasa Muni travelled everywhere and went into the spiritual sky to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. By present standards, scientists calculate that if one could travel the speed of light, it could take 40,000 years to reach the highest planet of this material world. But the yoga system can carry one without limitation or difficulty. The word Yogamaya is used in this verse. Yogamaya balhena vikuntam. The transcendental happiness exhibited in the spiritual world and all other spiritual manifestations, they are made possible by the influence of Yogamaya, the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. तद्विश्वगुरु अधिकृतं भुवनैकवन्द्यं दिव्यं विचित्र विबुधाग्र्य विमानशोचिः आपूपरां मुदम् अपूर्वमुपेत्य योगा मायाबलेन मुनयस्तदतो विकुण्ठम्. Thus the great sages Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana and Sanat Kumara, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best of the devotees of Vaikuntha, and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you can see that Sanaka, Sanatana, the four Kumaras, after they reached Vaikuntha, they felt unprecedented happiness. And further, here Lord Brahma is saying, Shukadev Goswami is saying that the spiritual sky, the Vaikuntha planet, was highly decorated, was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha, and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is saying illuminated by highly decorated airplanes. That means, for example, we see the high mast lights. You know, high mast lights. It's huge, very tall, and from there they'll put the floodlights. Like when we see a stadium, the huge lights illuminate the stadium. So imagine you have aeroplanes and from there lights are being thrown. That's illumination. That's Vaikuntha's opulence. Just like we get drones to take pictures, and sometimes we see they show drones in the sky, hundreds and thousands of drones, and they make different light forms. But imagine illumination. They are used as sources of illumination. So it's like so many drones are being sent and different lights are coming. So next time we should make our festival like that. So when we have Gaur Purnima and all, so from the top we should think how we can bring the technology of Vaikuntha here. See? So where are we? Man is so arrogant. He thinks he has achieved everything. When we read, it is really Kupamanduka intelligence. We are a very small frog in the well who thinks that this well is everything. The Bhagavatam is giving us a glimpse of how opulent, what and all kinds of things exist beyond what we can think. And Bhagavatam is not, okay, if some comic book is writing this, then we can know that's fantasy. Bhagavatam is serious literature. Bhagavatam is not talking about some cartoon, some science fiction. No, it's not fiction. Bhagavatam is describing the actual, factual situation. But so far-fetched it is that we feel that this is also fiction. Just like sometimes when we imagine about 100 years back, or even I would say even In my school time, maybe 30-35 years back, if somebody would have told us we will have mobiles, and from mobile we will be able to order items including vegetables which will be delivered to your doorstep, it will be really, I would have told it is fiction, it is fantasy. But even within our lifetime, in the just last 20-30 years, we have seen really dramatic changes. Right? Nobody even thought about these kind of things. In India, just imagine in India, if today a small time Telawala also is using mobile, he knows what is Amazon. You don't need, even I am shocked, I am going to small villages deep inside, they are all aware of all these things. Digital payment, where we have reached. So you see, what appears to be very far-fetched becomes very soon reality, even in this material context. So what to speak? Bhagavatam is talking not some science fiction. It is revealing to us the actual situation in higher planets, how they live. But one thing is a fact. The reality of the material world. 35 years back, I remember that time also, to that degree we had some gadgets. When we got our first new cycle, when I first got our cycle, so happy I was. Right? I think I got it in 7th standard. I was so happy. I got my first two-wheeler when I was in 12th. I was so happy. But you see, the happiness of this material world, anything that you get, after a few days, it becomes meaningless. You are always looking for new things. You get a cycle, then you want a bike. You get a bike, you want a car. You get a car, you want something more. It's endless. Material world, happiness is endless. But the nature of happiness of the Vaikuntha planets, of the spiritual planets, is different. That is why here it is being said that the happiness Apuhu puram mudham apurvam upetya yogam maya balena mana munayas tadato vikuntam. It is saying that the spiritual world, upon reaching the above mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world, by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. Material world, you cannot get unprecedented happiness. Sometimes people say unprecedented happiness. Even if they are saying they have felt unprecedented happiness, it is temporary. It doesn't last. There is a high, then there is a low. We cannot maintain the same degree of happiness at any point of time. That is possible only on a spiritual platform. Krishna talks about this in the Bhagavad Gita very nicely. In the 6th chapter, Krishna says how yogis experience happiness. Krishna says, Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattat buddhigrayamatīndriyam veti yatra na chaivaham sitas chalati tatvataha yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tataha yasmin stito na dukke na gurunapi vichalyate tam vidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samnitam. Krishna is saying in this verse, the stage of perfection is called a trance or samadhi. When one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga, this is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. Guru napi vichalyayet. Even though very difficult, he doesn't become shaken. Even in the midst of the greatest difficulty, this indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. You see, Krishna is opening up a new dimension of happiness. We have no idea of what that dimension is. Our search, our endeavor is for very, very tuchha ideas of happiness, very, very cheap ideas of happiness. Prabhupada, in this material world, sex desire is the highest level of happiness. Sexual pleasure is the highest level of happiness. So, Prabhupada in the 3rd chapter in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Prabhupada's purport quotes Prabodhananda Saraswati and says, Tadavadi mama, what is that? Tadavadi, in the 3rd chapter it is there, very beautifully. What is that full verse? What? Yadavadi mama cheta padaravinda. Yadavadi mama. It is. Yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padaravinде nava nava rasadam niudyatam rantumasid tadavadi bata nari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukhavikara shushtu nistivam cha. Since I have been engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distaste. When one is spiritually advanced, he can no longer be attracted by the lumps of flesh and blood which are the breasts of a young woman. The word nirantaro is significant. See, yadavadi mama cheta Krishna padaravinde navanava rasarat udvata ragnayo. See, so the idea is a person, a self-realized person, it is not Prabodhananda, it is Yamunacharya. So Yamunacharya is saying that since my mind is being engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and I have been thinking of an ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turns from it and I spit at the thought. So we can evaluate ourselves. We can evaluate ourselves that we are still attracted if we are still attracted by sex and material desires, that means we have not come to the level of spiritual pleasure, of experiencing spiritual pleasure. Person who is able to relish Krishna consciousness is not going to become affected by anything material. Not going to have a taste for it. It is a lower taste. Just like, for example, there are so many different species of life. And each species of life, their idea of happiness is so different. Prabhupada gives the example. Somebody who is so much attached to stool, they will be born as a worm in the stool. They have a taste for that. So as human beings, we must develop that higher taste. We must develop that higher taste. How we can develop that higher taste? It says, Yadavadhi mama cheta Krishna padara vinde. If my mind is engaged in the service of Krishna, then what happens? Nava nava rasa dhamanya udyatam rantumasi. Then I will develop new tastes for Krishna's various leelas. So the point is that we must engage. We must use our free will to engage in the service of Krishna. What do we do? When somebody tells us, come, when some other devotee says, do this service, no, that folk boy will do, Prabhu. We give it to somebody else. What is this? I will not do. Somebody else will do. The opportunity to relish Krishna consciousness only when we come and we do. Krishna consciousness is about exercising our free will. But what we think, oh, I am getting to relax, that is enjoyment. I am getting time to relax, that is my enjoyment. How foolish. Idea of Krishna consciousness, engagement in service of Krishna is enjoyment. The more you engage, the more you... Prabhupada says that a person, a devotee who is constantly engaged in Krishna's service, he never feels tired. He never feels tired. The more he engages in Krishna's service, the more he wants to do. Once we start coming to that platform where we feel, oh no, I want to rest, then we should understand that something is wrong. Just like in that story of Chand Kazi, when that the security guards of Chand Kazi, they made them chant Hare Krishna. So again they are repeating Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Why? Because the holy name is so powerful. It makes you addictive. It gets you addictive. This is positive addiction. In the material world, if you take some addictive substance, you get addicted to it. If you start with, oh, I want that kick, I want to feel that. That is negative addiction, because it is going to put you in more and more moya. So like for example, if I am thinking that I want to sleep, I want to take the rest, I don't want to do. What is your mind saying? By not doing, I am peaceful, I am nice. By doing, I get disturbed. What does it mean? It means that I am going more and more into Maya. I am getting addicted to Maya. Let me relax. Let me be sometime cool. Let me just take my mobile and keep doing something. So nice, it is peaceful. Just imagine when we are doing something nicely, relaxing, some devotee, hey, come on, do this. Oh, why he is telling me? 1 minute time, I got to relax, I want to enjoy. No, devotee is constantly thinking how to engage, how to do more and more. See, in the material world also there are people, like a businessman. I remember once in Bangalore when I was preaching, I was a fundraiser. I went to one factory in Pina. And it was a big factory. So I went to meet that owner of that factory. Then I went into his chamber. Inside that, it was a steel foundry, something and all is happening there. So he had one small office there. So I went to his office. And then I was sitting and talking to him. I was explaining to him about our spiritual activities and all those things. I wanted to collect some money. I was trying to share our activities and tell him to contribute for our activities. So when I was speaking to him, I could hear bada bada sound, dam, 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 and I'm not able to speak. Then in the course of my talking to him, I told, how do you sit here, sir? Whole day you're sitting here. My God, this sound is too much. How are you sitting? Then he smiled at me and he told me, Swamiji, when this sound is there, I'm very happy. Why? Because that means his business is running. ये साउंड जब बंद हो जाता है ना तो हमें बहुत डरा. I become very unhappy. So in the material world, you see, his motivation for him, it doesn't matter what sound is coming, what is happening. He knows that if that sound comes, money is coming. So he was telling Swamiji, आपको भी देना है तो उधर साउंड आना है. So a karmi is motivated to do something because there is another thing that has to come from there. So we as devotees should, and it is a practical thing. When you have chanted nicely, when you have read nicely, when your conscience is nice, very nicely, you automatically engage in Krishna's service. You will automatically engage in Krishna because you feel joy. You feel happy. But Maya will think, oh, this fellow is doing, let me bring him. She will try different varieties to distract you from your going towards Krishna consciousness. The character of a devotee is that he doesn't get distracted. From that we can assess what level of Krishna consciousness, what determination he has, that he will not allow himself to be distracted. Prabhupada, in this purport of the Bhagavad Gita, where Prabhupada is saying that Sukham Matyantikam Yattad Buddhi Graya Matindriyam. By practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. By practice. You must practice. No. Yes, morning it is saying that I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling pain. But we get up. But that is by practice. What happens by that? Our material concepts of so-called happiness, this bodily sensual pleasure, we will be able to transcend. This is the primary characteristic of the yoga principle. And after this, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realizes the super soul through transcendental mind and intelligence without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of the Patanjali system. So for us, Prabhupada in this purport is saying, the best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. A Krishna conscious person is so happy in his occupation that he does not aspire after any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy, to practice Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. But there is no such problem in executing Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. As long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure Bhakti Yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is callous towards incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of the most dear relative. He is always alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness. We should read this repeatedly. Every serious devotee, these last few lines, every day we must read. What is that we must read? He is callous towards incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of a most dear relative. But he is always alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Agama payino nityastam titikshvasva bharata. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection of yoga practice. Guru napi vichalyate. Here in this verse, Krishna is using this wonderful word, Guru napi vichalyate. He is fixed. He is not going to be deviated. Yam labva chaparam labham manyate na adhikam. He is not going to establish thus. One never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken. Even in the midst of the greatest difficulty, this indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. You have to meditate, daily repeat this, daily think about this. What Prabhupada is wanting us, what Krishna is wanting us in our life, how we should behave, what our attitude towards life should be, what our attitude towards Krishna consciousness should be. Not some, like a weak fellow, little Prabhu, my leg is paining, my hand is paining, my head is paining, today I did not get up. Wow, where are we? Oh, that devotee told me something. This temple is not nice. This temple president, what yaar? Where are we? We are creating a what is that? What is that called? You are creating a molehill out of a. I forgot. For we make small things into big things. Our problems are very, very minor, but we make it big. Prabhupada says, a preacher has life. Somebody who is not preaching Krishna consciousness, he has no life. Prabhupada says, what is the reason for success of Prabhupada's institution? Why Gaudiya Mutt became Asara? Because it just became a mess. Prabhupada uses the word student mess. Kana, Pina, Sona. Prabhu, I got up morning. I did sadhana, now I'll go and sleep. I want rest. No. We have to go out, preach, establish Krishna consciousness on a firm footing. When we are saying firm footing, what is that? Firm footing means organization, temple, big temple, lot of preaching, lot of devotees, all that is a headache. Everything is a headache, no doubt about it. In the material world, when you try to do something, so many other problems will come. We are volunteering to take that headache. Prabhu, why Prabhu? I thought I'll come to the temple, nice, here, Vrindavan atmosphere. I will sit down and chant. No, no. We are in fire. You must play with fire. We are not satisfied with ourselves situated very nicely. No. Every day we should be playing with fire. And then pray to Krishna. When we are in that kind of a situation, we know, my God, now only Krishna can save me from this position. I have to depend on him. Because the kind of problems that is going to come is going to be so serious. But we pray to Krishna. And we are seen, repeatedly we have seen, Krishna protects you. Krishna protects you. There is a divine energy that something comes. So this sense of happiness is spiritual. It is not that there is no activities there in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is full of activities, you see. If there is an aeroplane and in that lights are there, just like for example, just imagine when we have to put up a festival, so much of effort is required. It doesn't happen less like that. Even in Vaikuntha efforts are there, but that effort is natural. They want to do like that. When we have to set up the stage, when we have to set up so many things, when we have to do the Abhishek, so many people, so much management, so much work is required. It doesn't happen just like that. Oh, we are Krishna's devotee, let everything happen and we'll sit. Anything will happen? Nothing will happen. Inch to by inch, we have to plan and do our work. Every single thing. Has to be done. We have to work hard. Doesn't come like that. So, Krishna consciousness is like that. And we are born in this land, which is basically a gift to us, so that we can think about spiritual activities. That is the glory of being given birth in Bharatavarsha. Prapta nirjhatim tvayiva ye cha jantavo jnana kriya dravya kalapa samritam navai yetaran apunar bhavayate bhuyo vanauka iva yanti bandhanam. In the 5th canto, it is said that Bharatavarsha offers a proper land and circumstances in which to execute devotional service, which can free one from the results of jnana and karma. If one obtains a human body in the land of Bharatavarsha with clear sensory organs with which to execute the Sankirtana Yajna, but in spite of this opportunity he does not take to devotional service, he is certainly like liberated forest animals and birds that are careless and therefore again bound by a hunter. See, this is Bhagavatam words. It is saying that once, in the 5th canto, it is saying, Prapta nirajhatim, after obtaining a human body, Tva iva ye cha jantavaha jnana kriya dravya kalapa samvritam navai etaran apunar abhavayate bhuyo vanauka iva yanti bandhanam. Being born as a human being in Bharatavarsha, if you are born, then you can clearly engage in Sankirtana. If you don't, then just like a hunter, if a bird is careless, what happens? The hunter will catch it. So we become lost, Maya will catch us. And then again we lose the opportunity. See, again in the fourth canto, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Varam Vrinidvam Badram Yo Yuyam Me Nrapanandana Sauhardena Pratak Dharma Stushtoham Saurudhena Va. Here the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying, my dear sons of the king, this is with respect to, this is the fourth canto where Prachina Bari, the Prachetas, the Supreme Lord is addressing the Prachetas and telling Prachina Bari that I am very much pleased, my dear sons of the king, addressing the sons of Prachina Bari. He is saying, my dear sons of the king, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationship among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask me benediction. So you see, Sauhardena Atigatrena. By when we are in a friendly relationship, and in that way we are engaging in serving the Lord, then it is said the Supreme Lord will bless you. Not like, one devotee, I don't want to see his face. He comes this side, I'll walk off that side. Since the sons of King Prachina Barishat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Prachina Barisat was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. You see? Prabhupada in the purport is saying, each were separate individual, but they had only one goal. They have become united. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. In the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions, and consequently they cannot be united. Disunity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning towards material things. So if there is a let me understand, you are material. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal, to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. We have some service. Prabhu, why is he telling like this? Why is he telling like that? So one devotee has to agree. I agree. Anyway, it is spiritual. So even if there is disagreement, he oversees that and he does it. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy. See, Krishna becomes very happy when there is no disagreements. That means you should not take things to such a degree where you will end up disagreeing. He said, no, okay, no problem, I agree. Prabhu, you want me to do it? Supposing you are doing it one way and he tell, no, do it like this. Even though if you feel don't do it like that. That's all. Finished. Solved. There is no loss. There is nothing big to be lost in that. Those who are actually engaged in the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benedictions to his devotee. Krishna gives all benedictions, Baba. As indicated in this verse, we can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benediction to the sons of King Prachina Barisat. So we cannot be rebellious. Why the Vaikuntha is giving so much happiness? Why they are experiencing this kind of happiness? When Sanak, Sanatana, Sanandana and Sanat Kumara, when they reach Vaikuntha, they are feeling happiness. See here. Why? Because in the spiritual world, there is no competition. Here in the material world, when one devotee is saying, another devotee is saying, why I should do like him? Am I any more less? Competition. In the spiritual world, there is no competition. For everyone, there is simply serving the Lord. And everyone is considered the best servant of the Lord. There is no envy or jealousy there. In Vaikuntha, only the Lord is supreme and everyone else is a service. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Rasa Babhritya. In Vaikuntha, the Lord's servants are engaged in serving the Lord and they experience ever-increasing transcendental bliss in their service. This is the natural position of the living entities, to serve the Lord with love and devotion. There is no competition, envy or jealousy, for everyone there is engaged in serving the Lord with love and devotion. In Vaikuntha, the Lord's servants are constantly engaged in glorifying Him and rendering service to Him, and this is their eternal occupation. In Vaikuntha, the Lord's servants are eternally engaged in serving Him with love and devotion, and they have no other desire than to please Him. They have no material desires or aspirations, for they are fully satisfied in the Lord's service. All disagreements comes when you have personal ambitions, when you have personal desires. You'll start disagreeing. No. Why this? Why that? Why that? We'll stop here if there's any question, comments. Anantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.